Here to start us off with a tasting of 2005 and 1998 Hault Brion, please welcome Prince Robert de Luxembourg.
As the first time up here, I shouldn't be the first speaking, but I'm happy to have that role. I guess Hault Brion has a particular position in the lineup of these exceptional growths in that with the name First Growth, it is possibly the first growth indeed. Of course, we have vines that have been planted at our estate for now close to 2,000 years. Between 40 and 60 AD, the first vines were planted. The estate was created, as it still exists today, by the Pontac family in 1525. Jean de Pontac arrived and created the estate, and then he built the chateau that you just saw there, the first part in about 1550. He was also the first to attribute the name of place to the wine, which was that we find the first traces in 1660 in the cellar book of King Charles II of England, and later in the writings of Samuel Pepys in 1663. The real notion of potential of quality was born with the Pontac family, and a new style of wine was also born in the latter part of the 17th century. The style of wine that we're tasting here now, which came to be known at the time as New French Claret. Originally you had the clairets, the clarets, that were a different style of wine, but through processes that were born at Chateau Hault Brion, like racking up, this new style of potentially of aging wines were born. And I think they're best represented with a vintage like 2005 today, obviously, that is an extraordinary aging wine, as wardens of the land. And as you say, we have only inherited potential, and we have to be worthy every year of that potential. And we obviously, as leaders of our different entities, are responsible for overseeing this, but we rely very heavily on the people that are sitting here in front of us also, the directors, the winemakers, our teams of people on site that on a day-to-day basis are making sure that we live up to the potential of what we've inherited.
It is apropos to start with Hault Brion because the lead grape in Hault Brion, for most part, is Merlot. And of course, when most of you think about Bordeaux, you think about Cabernet Sauvignon first. So maybe, Robert, you want to expound a little bit on the cepages that you use in the blend and the fact that Merlot is often your lead grape.
One of the things that sets us apart is obviously the terroir, the fact that we're in the Grave, we're the only estate out of the ones that are represented up here that are in the Grave. It has to be remembered the 1855 classification was one of the Gironde. Therefore, Hault Brion was included in that particular classification. But what sets us apart also is the grape varietals that we use. The majority of the other wines that you'll be tasting here today will be very much, we'll have a concentration of Cabernet Sauvignon. Jean-Philippe Delmas's job is particularly difficult every year, and at the same time he has a luxury because he has three grape varietals that he's working with, Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc. And the makeup of the wine, it changes every vintage. And we have the flexibility really to be able to hone our wine towards the quality of that, whatever the grape varietal that suits us best in a particular vintage. Obviously, the overriding precept is quality and seeking to produce wines of Hault Brion. But the makeup changes. I mean, for example, I have to use my cheat sheet here. For the 2005, we have 56% Merlot, Cabernet Franc of 5%, and 39% Cabernet Sauvignon. Every year that varies. The 98 again is a little bit different. We have 55% Merlot, 10% Cabernet Franc, so double the amount of Cabernet Franc of the 2005, and 35% Cabernet Sauvignon.
What's interesting to me about Hault Brion is as Merlot is the lead grape, and we saw a wonderful presentation from Monsieur Mouex this morning with Trotanois on the right bank, where Merlot takes on a decidedly different characteristic in those clay soils. Here at Hault Brion we have a different soil type, and so we see Merlot with a little more unbridled power, but also that Merlot finesse through the finish, those fine-grained tannins that just sort of sail on and on. Tarry is often a word that gets used to describe Hault Brion, and it has that intensity, which I think you see in the 05. And for me, I'm absolutely stunned by the 98. The 98 is so youthful. Talk a little bit about the 98 vintage and how the wine is showing today.
It's a wine that we're very proud of, both of these. are considered, I think, near perfect wines. That obviously you have a little bit more concentration in the 2005 that I would say is more in the style of some of the more recent vintages like the 2009 and 2010 and also the 2000. It's a wine that's just starting to show its potential.
Yeah, it's really just starting. 98 is known as a right bank vintage. It's superb in Pomerol and Saint-Emilion. It's not particularly strong in the Medoc, but remember here that we're in Pessac and we're taking that broad look at terroir right now. So vintages are important, but of course they're not the Bible, and you have chateaus in certain areas that can succeed in vintages that may or may not have a particular reputation. And the 98 Hault Brion has perhaps, for some of you it's not such a secret, but the 98 Hault Brion has been one of the superstar wines of that vintage. And as Robert says, it's just opening up today. I should note that in the 3 generations of Delmas that have been at Hault Brion, you had Jean-Philippe's grandfather Georges was there from 1924 to 1960. His father, Jean Bernard, was there from 1961 to 2003. But Jean-Philippe, you have a ways to go. Congratulations on 3 generations of Delmas at Hault Brion. That's quite a feat. Thank you very much.
And the nice thing is there's more on the way, so we are all, I think, wine lovers before being wine producers, and what motivates us is your expectations and your love of what we do. So thank you, and thank you, James, for, I think I'm probably run out of my allotted time, but we'll come back to you, so I'll let my colleagues speak.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.